BlueMetric is mission-ready water. We are world-class experts solving our clients' most challenging environmental problems. BlueMetric provides a full range of environmental consulting services supported by bespoke engineering solutions for emergency, self-contained, and permanent water systems, and is always mission-ready with a full range of in-house support. There is no successful mission without water. We are proud to partner with Atlantic Canadian Industries. We are mission-ready water.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Christina and I'm here with Acada's podcast Over the Horizon, powered by Gale Force Winds, sponsored by BlueMetric. We're here at the Maritime Arctic Safety and Security Conference here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and I am here with Peter MacKay. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much, Christina. Nice to be with you.
Thanks so much for joining me. So to kick us off, Peter, can you tell us a little bit about what brings you here to Mass this week, and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm tempted to say to be on Gale Force Winds, and Alan and Jerry I've known for a long time and been coming to this conference for ages. But I work with McInnes Cooper, which is a law firm, Atlantic Canadian law firm. And we do a lot of work in the private sector, obviously, with companies in the aerospace and defense arena. Companies who I feel are on the cusp of greatness. I think the opportunities abound. This conference, this Mass 24, Acada-sponsored conference, really highlights what those opportunities could be. And we're seeing some great discussion here, both on the panels, but also I find at this conference a lot of discussions and interactions that happen in the hallways. So I'm delighted to be back in St. John's.
Yeah, absolutely. And those connections and people reconnecting with people they might have known for a long time, or companies that are well established connecting with newer companies that are emerging or attempting to grow in this space seems to be a very big priority for a lot of organizations here. Can you tell me a little bit about how McInnes Cooper is, enabling those businesses to become more involved in a sector that perhaps historically they weren't, or starting from scratch? How can those businesses be supported by what McInnes Cooper is doing?
Sure. Well, I came to McInnes Cooper from politics. I spent 18 years there without parole, and I returned to my first love in terms of labor, and that was practicing law. McInnes Cooper are historically really the oldest, most established law firm in Atlantic Canada, so I was delighted to have the chance to join them. And it's an area of the law and the promotion of business in aerospace and defense that really was unoccupied. And so after discussion with the managing partner and members of the firm, we sort of edged into this space to help companies that are emerging as leaders in Atlantic Canada. Not surprisingly, it has a lot to do with the marine side. The Canadian Forces, of course, have a massive presence here, largest really in the country. And so support for personnel, individuals who are emerging as leaders, companies that need to be incorporated, companies that are emerging, companies that have employment or labor needs. There's a niche area of marine law that is also quite enabling for a firm like ours. And we see these type of conferences as important to demonstrate our support and our presence in this space, and just to work with individuals to see that, frankly, and this is an Atlantic Canadian perspective, that we're getting a share of the work that accompanies the building up of Arctic security, maritime security, and a lot of the innovators. And I think that's what I feel the most vibrancy around what's happening right now is innovation, young people, new technologies, AI, things that are really going to be with us for the long term and even the foreseeable future.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned politics. I'm not going to talk about politics, but I can imagine that your background and bringing that to McInnes Cooper in terms of navigating different jurisdictions and regulations and policy even, that can be really complex and really complicated. And I can imagine having a resource like McInnes Cooper to help a business grow and build their own capacity can be of great value.
I'd like to think so, Christine. I left politics in 2015. I worked with a Toronto law firm for a period of time, and then, like many Atlantic Canadians, came back home and have a young family. And so this was a natural fit in many ways. McInnes Cooper do exactly what you've described, and that is interface and interact with all sorts of businesses. But as I mentioned earlier, this is an area of our economy that I think is critical, has always been so, but it's also new and it's also expanding rapidly. We have Cove, as you know, in Halifax, and you have great companies there who are establishing their prowess in undersea autonomous vehicles, drone technology, the ability to track ice, fish stocks, changes in the environment, as well, and they talk about dual use, as well as the military application.
Right.
Threats, threat assessments, what do we do about that? And that extends, of course, well up into the Arctic space, which, because of weather and changing dynamics due to climate change, this is, again, something that's very exciting and compelling for people.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of, I guess, small to medium-sized businesses who are really affecting positive change from the technology and innovation side, and there's a ton of benefits, whether it's with federal jurisdiction like safety and security and defense, or at the provincial level with fisheries and things like that. And all of these things together enable us to have sustainable communities and make positive impacts on folks.
That's 100% right. And the interface that you spoke of earlier between the various jurisdictions, levels of government, that can get complicated.
Yeah.
And you're seeing, in fact, as recently as this week, the provincial premiers who are meeting in Halifax calling out the federal government for infringing on jurisdiction. And so that is important to not only navigate but to sort out. We have limited tax base. You know, we're really at a tough place right now, frankly. The economy is a big issue. Affordability is a big issue. And so getting value for dollar, whether it's legal services or purchasing services from businesses and products, procurement is a massive and complex issue that everybody, including the federal government, need help with.
Awesome. So I'm going to touch briefly on McInnes Cooper MC Advisory Services. That is a bit newer in the last several years. The fractional services space and enabling small to medium-sized businesses to access these services that perhaps historically they might not have been able to. Can you touch a little bit on how MC Advisory and McInnes Cooper specifically can help small to medium-sized businesses grow in this space?
So it's a very interesting addition to a traditional law firm, and my understanding is we're the only ones doing this and offering that service at this time. And it's just as you said, helping to facilitate access to programs, to opportunities, businesses that are in a growth mode or startup. It's communication. It's the ability to speak to certain government officials with ACOA is the obvious example, but fisheries and oceans, defense. It's again navigating what can sometimes be a very foreign experience if you haven't done it before. And it's in Atlantic Canada, not surprisingly, it's knowing people. It's knowing certain dynamics that exist in communities and you know, knowing, for example, that when you speak of the Maritimes, that doesn't include Newfoundland and Labrador, and it's Atlantic Canada. And it's those nuances that MC Advisory are very familiar with, as well as having experienced people. People that have worked inside government, for example, people who have been in various departments in Atlantic Canada and know how to get things done. At the end of the day, it's about the efficiency and the outcomes. And, you know, we're living in this hyper-accelerated time, and the internet and being able to really unpack things quickly and get to the nub of what you're after. I'd say that's what MC Advisory has a great deal of capability to bring.
Awesome. And that is a great lead into my last question that I have for you today, Peter. So organizations like ACADA as an industry association and advocacy path for a lot of businesses to have a collective voice. What does it mean to McInnes Cooper and MC Advisory to have a resource like ACADA and have an event like this of such high quality available right in our own backyard?
Well, it's the synergies of bringing some of these great capabilities, companies, people together. You know, being able to interact in one space like this. It's sort of like the molecules, and sometimes they bind together and produce an even greater outcome, or what the military call a force multiplier. And so MC Advisory, McInnes Cooper, the law firm, are pleased to be a part of that. We've established a great relationship with ACADA over the years and worked in other venues as well. We have sort of something similar now in every province in Atlantic Canada, and we have the Halifax International Security Forum, which is another great showcase of what we bring when it comes to defense and security in Atlantic Canada. So great things on the horizon, wonderful people, and I feel really optimistic to be back in Atlantic Canada and seeing all of the activity and all of the ingenuity and prowess that we're bringing to the front in Atlantic Canada. It's a great time, and most importantly we're retaining a lot of young, engaged people like yourself who see a future here at home.
Yeah. Not leaving again. Thanks so much,
Peter,
for joining me this morning. Thank you again to our sponsor, Blue Metric, for having us here with Over the Horizon podcast. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the MASS conference. And thanks again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Blue Metric is your partner and works with Atlantic Canadian industries and organizations who are concerned about the water health of our planet and the people who inhabit it in an environmentally and culturally sensitive manner. Blue Metric joins the growing number of like-minded, innovative Atlantic Canadian companies who are changing the environmental landscape for the globe in a world-class way. World-class experts solving our clients' most challenging environmental problems. We are mission-ready water.